We're here at Gordon's tomb today, which is a great example of a first century tomb. This is an example of a rich man's tomb. It's that Jesus was buried with the rich in his death, even though he himself did not have a lot of money. But the way the rich would do it is this tomb is just outside of the city wall, and rich people would often have their tombs and their family tombs next to the city and hewn or cut out of stone. This is a solid rock tomb, and what they did was they chipped away at it until they had a big enough space for their burial of all their family and their ancestors. And so what we see here is an example of what would have happened to Jesus once he was taken down off the cross. Nicodemus, who we saw earlier in John chapter 3, we see now in John 19, Jesus taken down off the cross, his body is prepared for burial. They don't even believe that he's going to come back from the dead. They prepare him, they mourn for him as if he is dead and gone forever. And the Jews would wash the body, and they would prepare him by wrapping him up in strips of linen, and they would put oil, fragrant oil, and tuck spices in, so the body as it decomposed in the tomb would not overly be wretchedly stenchful as the family visited the deceased one. And the way the Jews would do it is they would put you on a slab, and inside the tomb you would decompose over about a year, and they would come back and get you after a year, and you would be decomposed down to just a skeletal bones. They would gather up your bones and they would place it in a jar, and you would be set in a different part of the tomb, and slowly as the family and the ancestors died, they would slowly be placed all together in this one tomb, all in jars. So they thought Jesus, he didn't even have a tomb of his own. He had to go in a borrowed tomb to be buried. But this is an example of what kind of tomb Jesus would have been buried in. And they had a huge stone, as you can see this gutter that's in front of it. A huge stone would have been rolled to the side, and the people in charge of the family's burial would have taken the deceased and placed him inside and laid him on there, and a huge stone would have been rolled back in front of it, usually large enough that one or two or three guys couldn't do it, just to keep the robbers from going inside the burial chamber. So it was usually pretty massive, especially for the rich. And once the stone is set in place, it can't be opened. Well, we see in the story of Jesus that Jesus did not just die, but he died on a Friday, and he was in the grave during the Sabbath on a Saturday, his day of rest as a Jew. And then it says he came back from the dead on Sunday. And this is the pivotal moment of Christianity, is when Jesus, on Sunday morning, just as the sun was coming up, guards all around wanting to keep the disciples from stealing the body, Jesus comes forth from the tomb. As the angel rolls away the tombstone, Jesus comes out, the guards faint from fear, and Jesus is now shown himself as being the victor over death, over sin, over Satan, over judgment. The fact of the matter is that Christianity does not just rely on the teachings of Jesus as a teacher, as a guru, as a rabbi. We rely on Jesus as the Son of God who actually came back from the dead. There are many people who have been resuscitated back from the dead, but Jesus actually resurrected, which means that he came back in a glorified body. He came back in the type of body that believers will get someday in eternity. Once his body was prepared, that once he was taken down from the cross and crucified, they would have taken him to the Jews would have taken him down, they would have taken him to a place to strip his body of any clothing that he might have, and they would have not to just be a follower of Jesus from the outside, but actually an intimately connected follower of Jesus, because he has transformed my life, because he is God, and he has proven to be so by the fact of the empty tomb.